Some archaeological discoveries are just museum pieces, but others are true reality checks. They're finds that forced historians to revise timelines, rewrite textbooks, and even question what we thought we knew about ancient civilizations. Today, you'll discover 10 archaeological finds so impactful that they transformed our understanding of the past, revealing that human history is far more complex, rich, and surprising than we imagined. For centuries, ancient Egypt was an indecipherable mystery. The pyramids, the temples, the mummies, everything amazed. But no one knew what the hieroglyphs said. That changed in 1799 when Napoleon's soldiers happened upon a black stone slab near the town of Rosetta in Egypt. It was the Rosetta Stone. What made it so special? The same text was carved in 3 different scripts: ancient Greek, Demotic, and Egyptian hieroglyphs. Thanks to this, linguists were able to compare the languages and with great effort, crack the lost code of the pharaohs. The work was completed by Jean-François Champollion in 1822, and for the first time in over 1,000 years, ancient Egypt spoke to the world again. Thanks to the Rosetta Stone, we began to understand the history, religion, science, and daily life of the ancient Egyptians based on their own words, not just ruins. This discovery didn't just decipher a script. It reopened the doors to an entire civilization. In 1974, Chinese farmers were digging a well on the outskirts of Shur when their shovel struck something hard. But it wasn't stone. It was the face of a warrior made of clay. What they unearthed shocked the world. An entire army of terracotta soldiers, buried for more than 2,200 years. They were the guardians of the tomb of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, founder of the Qin dynasty. More than 8,000 life-size soldiers, each with unique features, different faces, varied armor, mustaches, hairstyles, and distinct expressions, and more. Horses, archers, generals, acrobats, even war chariots, all buried in perfect ranks with real weapons to protect the emperor in the afterlife. To this day, the central mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang has never been opened. It's believed to lie sealed beneath an earthen pyramid guarded by booby traps and rivers of mercury. The terracotta army is much more than armorary art. It is a monumental proof of the power of the Chinese Empire, of faith in immortality, and of one man's obsession with eternity. Until the 1990s, the book said the first civilizations arose with agriculture. Only later came cities and then temples. But in 1994, a Turkish shepherd stumbled on an unusual stone at top a hill. Archaeologists were called in, and what they found there changed everything we thought we knew about the dawn of civilization. The place's name, Göbekli, located in southeastern Turkey, this archaeological site has megalithic temples dating back more than 11,000 years, 6,000 years before Egypt's pyramids. They were raised by hunter-gatherers even before the invention of agriculture. The huge T-shaped pillars weigh up to 20 tons and are arranged in sacred circles. Many bear carvings of animals, abstract symbols, and ritual scenes whose meanings we still don't fully grasp. Most surprising of all, the very people who built it seem to have deliberately buried the site as if to protect it or close a sacred cycle. Göbekli forced archaeologists to rethink everything. Did the sacred come before the urban? Did temples create cities, not the other way around? What is certain is that this discovery toppled the traditional order of history, revealing a past far older and more spiritual than we imagine. For centuries, many thought the Trojan War described by Homer in the Iliad was just a Greek myth, a tale of gods, heroes, and wooden horses. But in 1870, a passionate amateur archaeologist named Heinrich Schlien set out to prove otherwise. Guided by Homer's verses and his own intuition, he excavated a hill called Hisarlik in modern Turkey. What he found there changed archaeology forever. He uncovered the remains of an ancient fortified city with walls, towers, and layered ruins, each from a different era. In all, more than 9 cities built one at top, another were identified. One of them, dated to around 1200 BC, matched the supposed time of the Trojan War. Among the finds were valuable objects, weapons, and what Schliemann called prized treasure, which he believed belonged to the Trojan king of the Iliad. The excavation was controversial, destructive in parts, but it proved an essential point. Troy existed. The discovery of the city of Troy reminded us that sometimes myths conceal truths far older than we imagine. In 1991, two hikers were trekking in the Alps on the border between Italy and Austria when they spotted something strange emerging from the ice. A human body partially frozen and incredibly well preserved. Contrary to what many thought, it wasn't a modern mountaineer. It was a man who lived more than 5,300 years ago in the Copper Age. Thus was discovered Ötzi the Iceman, a naturally mummified body with skin, organs, clothing, and even stomach contents preserved. With him were found a copper-bladed axe, a bow and arrows, and a set of leather garments, a hood, a grass cape, and boots with lining. But what impressed scientists most was the level of information the body provided. Remains of his last meal, genetic analyses revealing lactose intolerance, and even an arrowhead lodged in his back suggesting was murdered. His body also revealed primitive tattoos in strategic points, possibly with a medicinal function, a kind of ancestral acupuncture. The discovery of Ötzi the Iceman completely changed our view of prehistoric alpine peoples, revealing they had knowledge of metallurgy, cold weather clothing, medical techniques, and even armed conflict. He was not just a man of the past, he was a direct window into a forgotten mountain civilization. In 1947, a young Bedouin was searching for a lost goat in the caves of Qumran in the Dead Sea region. When he tossed a stone into one of the caves, he heard something shatter. That's how he discovered clay jars with rolled manuscripts inside. At first, people paid little attention, but what lay there would change the history of religion and archaeology forever. They were the Dead Sea Scrolls, sacred texts, and religious documents over 2,000 years old, many predating the birth of Jesus. Between 1947 and 1956, more than 900 manuscripts were found in 11 different caves, including passages from almost every book of the Hebrew Bible, along with apocrypha, rules of religious communities, and previously unknown prophetic texts. The scrolls were written in Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek, and appeared to have belonged to an isolated Jewish sect, probably the Essenes, who lived at Qumran awaiting the end times. Most striking of all, some of these texts are 1,000 years older than the biblical manuscripts we knew, and yet they are extremely close, which strengthened confidence in the sacred texts. The discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls opened a new chapter in the history of religions, revealing how ancient Jews and Christians thought, prayed, and hoped for salvation. In 1940, 4 teenagers were exploring a forest in southwestern France when they followed a hole in the ground, thinking they were chasing a lost dog. What they found was one of the greatest treasures of early human art. It was Lascaux Cave, an underground complex whose walls are covered with stunning cave paintings made about 17,000 years ago during the Paleolithic. On the walls are more than 600 images: horses, bison, deer, bulls, felines, and even human figures, all painted with natural pigments using techniques of blowing, charcoal, and oxides with detail and movement that still astonish specialists. What impresses most is the artistic quality and symbolic complexity of these paintings. Anatomical proportion, use of perspective, and perhaps even ritual or spiritual meaning. For this, Lascaux became known as the Sion Chapel of prehistory, but human contact began to degrade the paintings. So the original cave was closed to the public in 1963. Today, visitors can see perfect replicas, but the original remains sealed, protected, and still full of questions. The paintings of Lascaux prove that early humans were not merely survivors. They were artists, thinkers, and visionaries. For a long time, Tutankhamun was an almost forgotten pharaoh. He took the throne at 9, died around 19, and left no great conquests. But in 1922, archaeologist Howard Carter found what the world never expected: an almost intact tomb hidden in the Valley of the Kings in Egypt. Peering through a small opening, Carter exclaimed, "I see wonderful things." And it was no exaggeration. Inside the tomb were more than 5,000 precious artifacts: jewelry, furniture, aerary masks, ritual boats, statues, and of course, the iconic golden mask of Tutankhamun, weighing over 10 kilograms of solid gold. The tomb was small, but it was crammed with treasures, sealed for more than 3,000 years. Most intriguing, most royal tombs had been looted centuries earlier, but Tutankhamun's went unnoticed, covered by debris and forgotten by history. The discovery sparked true Egyptomania in the West and remains one of Egypt's greatest attractions to this day. Legends also arose like the Curse of the Pharaoh, which supposedly killed several people involved in the expedition. Tutan's tomb revealed not just a young king, it revealed the wealth, rituals, and belief in eternity that shaped an entire civilization. In AD 79, Mount Vesuvius in southern Italy erupted with devastating force. Within hours, the Roman cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum were buried under ash, volcanic rock, and toxic gases. More than 2,000 people died instantly. But what no one imagined is that this tragedy would preserve those cities as time capsules. For centuries, they lay forgotten beneath meters of ash.